One day, the ones who overlooked you will pridefully claim they know you. When you get overlooked, there's always this invitation. Am I going to partner with this impression? Meaning, like, are you going to subscribe to what they think? Or are you going to get even closer to what you know to be true about you? It's an invitation to reinforcing yourself. Rejection, being overlooked, is an invitation to reinforce what you know to be true, what you believe to be true about yourself and about your unfolding. This is The Roxanne Show. Get ready. It's time to rise.
Quick question. Are you playing it safe or are you playing it true? True to your authentic self? True to what you really desire for your life? True to your actual potential? This is no dress rehearsal, you guys. This is your life. You are here to live from your most extraordinary self, your whole self. And I'm so excited to share with you that my very first authored book, first of many to come, is finally coming out this year. The Truth in You Knows. This is more than a collection of essays, stories, and prose. It's a real manifesto that helps you shift what you believe is actually possible for you in your life. It's a lighthouse. It's an anchor. It's that sign that you craved right when you needed it most. This book will help you get into the most profound relationship with your most authentic self. This relationship that's forged from absolute self-love and trust, where you are going to bet on yourself, where you are going to live courageously so that you can experience the life that you really want to experience and nobody else's idea of what that needs to be or should be. I'm inviting you to join my book launch waitlist today so that you can access an exclusive live virtual workshop that I'm hosting to celebrate my book launch. This is going to be such a fun event. We're going to have an intimate conversation where I'm going to present the principles of the book. We're going to have a Q&A segment, and there's going to be other surprises at this event. I don't want you to miss this opportunity. In addition to that, being on this list is also going to give you access to other special bonuses that I'll be announcing closer to the book launch. To join this list, head over to roxannesaffaie.com/The Truth in You Knows and enter your information. And it's also on the homepage of my website, Roxanne Saffaie. I can't wait to spend this time with you. I cannot wait for you to have this book. Back to the episode.
Today's episode is for any one of you who is going through a hard time, is maybe feeling an insecure moment about your life, about what's in front of you. Maybe you're craving something so big time and you're feeling some doubt or some worry coming in about, is it going to happen? Maybe you're someone who just was overlooked, got rejected in some way, and you need a hug, a reassuring hug to your heart. Well, this episode is for you. And even if you are someone who isn't necessarily living in that kind of frequency right now, maybe things are feeling excellent for you. Maybe things are, just feeling really like you're thriving right now. I'm so fucking excited for you. Yes, I want you there. I want all of us there as much as we can possibly be in life. I still say that this episode is for you because it just reinforces the power of your mind, of your heart, of your soul, of your essence in a way that will keep you on your thriving path. So basically, this episode is for all of you. I'm going to read to you a piece of one of my writing pieces, and I'm going to elaborate on some of the sections of it, just kind of pull out the thread a bit, because I believe this is truly going to serve you, that not just that hug to your heart, but a big high five to all of you, to keep you just moving and thriving and feeling your most empowered self in your life. All right. It's called One Day. One day it will look like it happened overnight. One day the twists and turns will be your favorite part of the story. One day, the ones who overlooked you will pridefully claim they know you. One day, you'll realize that the battles that challenged your courage were doorways to the greatest parts of you. One day, it will become crystal clear that your intuition was never wrong. One day, you'll understand that it was never about your goals. It was always about your becoming on the way to them. One day, you'll revere every inch of your unfolding because all of it curated the absolute love you hold for yourself. Don't wait for the day. Wait for nothing. Live for it. Live everything. One day can be your today if you decide to live it that way. One day can be your today if you decide to live it today that way. So let's start from the top. One day won't look like it happened overnight. I want to actually read you something really quick. For those of you who don't know the bamboo story, because it really does work with that line, the whole one day it'll, look like it happened overnight. So the story of the Chinese bamboo tree is a parable that teaches lessons about patience, perseverance, and growth. The story goes that the farmer plants bamboo seeds, waters, and fertilizes them, but sees no growth for the first few years. In the fifth year, a small sprout emerges, and the bamboo tree can grow up to 90 feet tall in a few weeks. A hermit explains to the farmer that the bamboo tree was using the first few years to develop a strong root system underground, which would help it grow taller later. The story is a metaphor for the idea that progress isn't always immediate or visible, but that consistent effort could lead to success. It also symbolizes strength, flexibility, and continuous growth. It's so good. I can't tell you how many times as an entrepreneur, as a woman who leads with intuition and fucking dances on the edge, just constantly betting on myself, how much I lean into the bamboo story, because it is that case a lot of times where, it could seem like, man, is anything happening here? Like every day you put so much work in, in my world, it's all work, it's the psychology work, it's the showing up out here work, it's all of it, right? And some days just can feel a little bit like, is this really happening? And then, you have these moments, these sort of pivotal, high frequency, high vibing, thriving moments that, kind of are like the bamboo sprouting moments, right? Where all of a sudden it's like, boom, you're growing, right? Like it's happening. And it just goes to show that, all of that work that you have persevered through, continuously invested in, that you've been so consistent with, has paid off. So in those situations, a lot of times it can seem like the line in my piece of prose there, that it will look like it happened overnight, but it didn't. And ultimately that line is just a reinforcement to say like, hey, if you are that person and you're showing up and you're doing the work, like don't be discouraged if something isn't showing you the fruits of your labor yet. You have to believe in what you're doing and that it will come in perfect timing. And I know that sometimes that could feel so fucking frustrating and even probably annoying because you're like, no. You don't even know how much I've put in. You don't even know how hard I've been working. And my answer to that is I probably fucking do because I do it in my own life, right? I live it so deeply, so honestly, and so intentionally, right? So I can certainly empathize with any one of you who might be thinking that. And I will tell you again, the line in this prose is cemented in this piece here because it is a truth, is that, it's not just like, you'll have many moments probably in your life where in different domains, it looks like, it could even be your love life. Like all of a sudden, you just, you met the love of your life, but it's not all of a sudden you met the love of your life. Think about all the inner work that you had to do before you got to that person, I mean, everyone's situation is different, but I'm pulling on this idea that, whatever it is that you are working honestly towards to create in your life, trust that it will unfold for you, that the work that you're putting in is serving you. And one day it will look like it'll happen overnight. But you know that that is not the truth. One day the twists, the turns will be your favorite part of the story. I really love that. That piece for me really connects to this constant theme that I express, which is, challenges are an opportunity for growth. And the sooner that you can really resonate and connect with that idea, the better in your life, because nobody's going through life without challenges. And if you're shooting for excellence, if you are not playing small, if you're not settling on what you truly want to experience in your life, you're building from heart and soul, you are going to be fucking challenged. And that is perfectly designed for your ultimate becoming, for your ultimate life experiences. Can you think of one story, whether it's nonfiction, fiction, somebody movie, where you admire the person, you admire the story, it inspires you, but there was no challenge that was overcome, like in that story? I can't think of one. We are moved by individuals who overcome challenges, especially big ones, right? It just does something. It touches our heart in a way. And I believe it's because all of us face challenges at several points throughout our life. So it's like this one meeting spot that every human can connect with. Even if it's a different challenge, your challenge is different than my challenge, and yours is more severe than hers, or that doesn't matter. We all know what challenges feel like. We all know what struggle feels like at some point in your life. So we are inspired by those who overcome them. And I believe that this idea that I'm constantly selling to you, which is challenges are an opportunity for growth, it reinforces the power of you moving through a challenge. And it reinforces this sort of inner hero within you versus the victim, right? You are not a victim of your circumstances. You're a bad fucking ass moving through that challenge, doing the best that you can, even if you're getting your ass kicked. If the twists and the turns are beating you, up and just making you work really hard, in the moment, I know it's going to suck. And that's a reality, and it's going to feel like shit. But in the end, when you come out and you got your hand raised, your hand raise can look like a lot of things. You won the thing, you got smarter, your skills advanced, like all of the above, whatever it is, you will look back at that moment and you will revere those moments, those twists and those turns. You will be grateful for them. So I'm always like, can we revere them ahead of the finish? Can we appreciate them as we're moving through them, which can sound so fucking crazy, I know. However, if you can get your mindset in that place where you're like, this sucks, but I know this is serving me in some way, shape, or form. So I honor the battle. I honor the challenge. I'm worthy of moving through it. I will win it, and I'm fucking grateful for it. If you can do that, I mean, that's some Jedi mind shit that is really going to serve you. And in the end, you will not just look back, but like throughout the whole process, you'll appreciate, the twists and the turns, the zigs, the zags, the hardships, because ultimately they are forging the iron within you. That also connects very much with the line here. One day you'll realize that the battles that challenged your courage were doorways to the greatest parts of you. The battles that challenged your courage were doorways to the greatest parts of you. Where there is fear, there is courage. Where there is fear, there is courage. And it's so important to remember that. When fear starts to come in for whatever reason, cue courage. Courage is also there. It's a decision. Am I going to be brave or am I going to submit to the fear? It's always there. That's so important to realize that courage is always present when fear is too. And then you get to decide, what do you want to lead with? Which do you want to subscribe to? And when you decide that you're not going to subscribe to the fear, you acknowledge it, it's there. You're going to instead subscribe to your courage. I mean, as you continuously do that in your life, especially in different segments and different experiences, the doorways that open within you are only leading you to more incredible places within yourself. And it is certainly forging more self-confidence, self-love, self-trust. So again, it's that thing, like, can you even be grateful for those battles that are, poking at you with fear and trying to get you to worry, trying to get you to, move into a state of disbelief, about yourself or about a circumstance maybe that's really important to you. Like, every time you conquer those moments, I mean, you're operating from courage and you're reinforcing trust, believe in yourself, and you're reinforcing this self bond that I constantly talk about, which is where you are in such a loving, trusted, and revered relationship with yourself, your authentic self. So it really, it's always about your perspective. Like, you can look at a situation and be like, oh my gosh, this is happening to me. And like, what the fuck? Why is this even happening? Or you can be like, this is happening and I'm in this, but I'm also with myself in this. And I won't abandon myself. I'm going to stay close to myself. I'm going to work with myself. I'm going to do my best to carry myself through this, whatever this challenge is, and get to the other side, because I know that it's possible. I know that I'm capable. I know that I'm worthy of this entire unfolding. And that is where you want to be operating from, I think, don't you? One day, the ones who overlooked you will pridefully claim they know you. All right. I definitely inserted that because how could I not? No, that was an interesting one, because that could have lived in this piece of prose or not, right? Like, it had room to live there and make sense, but it also, it's almost its own kind of separate thing in a way. But yeah, I want that. That's important because that's happened to me throughout my life, and I mean, still to this day it does. And what's cool about this is that when you get overlooked, there's always this invitation. Am I going to partner with this impression that this individual has on me? Meaning, like, are you going to subscribe to what they think? Or are you going to get even closer to what you know to be true about you? So, like, let's just say, there's an opportunity of some sort, and you just get overlooked. Like, it's like, oh no, you're not good enough. You going to believe that? Are you going to put yourself into that category because that's what came at you from this person or these people or whatever? Or are you going to use that moment to get even closer with yourself, with your self-confidence, with your knowing of who you are, where you're going, what you're capable of? It's a choice. It really is a choice. And I really hope that sticks and you see it that way, because it could be so easy to not think that way because rejection, it's ultimately rejection, right? And it sucks. Rejection never feels good, ever, in anywhere, whether it's business, romantic, friendships, anything like that. But with that, rejection is always an invitation. How do you feel about you? What do you believe to be true about you? And if it's you taking that invitation for yourself and saying, no, fuck that. I know who I am. I believe in what I'm capable of. And I know where I'm going, right? That's a reinforcement. So rejection turns into reinforcement. That's a new one I haven't said before, and I love that. It's an invitation to reinforcing yourself. Rejection, being overlooked, is an invitation to reinforce what you know to be true, what you believe to be true about yourself and about your unfolding. So, and what's cool is that, again, like this line is like one day, and it's not like you'll see. I mean, I'm not mad if that is the energy, because sometimes that's like, it fuels, it's like that little chip on your shoulder. But ultimately, it doesn't even matter. It's not about them seeing or not seeing. It's about what you see about you. That's what matters the fucking most. So if that ever ends up happening, where then at the end, that same person who rejected you or overlooked you or whatever ends up, claiming, oh, I know. Oh, yeah. Well, then, that's just an internal funny giggle for you. Like, I know the truth. That's a very humble Zen approach to it. Yeah. So continuing on here, one day it will become crystal clear that your intuition was never wrong. It's so easy to second guess yourself, your intuition. Sometimes I believe the path to trusting your intuition more comes from you not trusting it or going against it, not listening to it. It has certainly been the case in my life. There have been times, especially like in the romantic sector, where, my intuition's like, girl, no. And I'm like, but I think I could, whatever the reasoning was. And intuition heart is like, straight out the gate. Like, not even a hiccup, like just no. And heart was right. Intuition was right. And because I actually moved against it, didn't just take the memo and run with it, I had to go through the experiences that I went through, but what's cool is that even if you don't, for me, it wasn't a matter of not trusting in my intuition. It was not acknowledging. So there is something about that, right? Trusting and acknowledging. Sometimes it's not a lack of trust. Sometimes it certainly is that, but sometimes it's just, I don't want to acknowledge you because maybe, the ego part of you is like, leading you in that moment, in that situation, in that experience. And, you're going to just kind of quiet the intuition, like, hey, heard you, but I'm still going to go this way. And in my experiences, in those specific experiences that I'm thinking about, that's exactly what happened. It was like, intuition was like, girl, no. And I was like, but I want to go find out. I'm going to do this. I think I can, And sure enough, I had some pretty fucking rock the boat experiences that, were obviously important for me to have. And what was cool is at the end, I'm like, but I knew the whole time. I got the memo and I just didn't respond. So it kind of kept the power back within me because it wasn't like I got sucker punched. Oh, I didn't see it coming. No, you just decided not to listen, right? So that's one take on the intuition piece. And then another way, just relating back to this this line here is, that ultimately, whether it's the route that I just told you or whether it's you having moments where you're just insecure about your intuition, one day all of it will show you, or big parts of your life will show you. I'm not talking about you have to be at the end of your life for this. It's just you will get to these certain points of your life. I mean, I certainly have. I'm deep in the game now, but where your intuition, you're just like, oh man, no, my intuition knows what the fuck is up, basically. One day you'll understand that it was never about your goals. It was always about you're becoming on the way to them. This is something I talk about often, right? It's not about the thing that we want. We want the thing. We want to accomplish the goal. We want the experience. And that is important. That does matter. But I think realizing and remembering this piece right here is the most important part. That's like secondary. The primary the primary purpose of what you're experiencing is about your becoming. It's about the person that you become on the way to that experience, achieving that goal, that, manifestation, like all of that. Because there is going to be, in that process, whatever it is, you are going to be experiencing life. And in that experiencing life, you're experiencing yourself. And you're probably going to, there's a lot of growth that happens there. There's a lot that's going to happen there that's going to expand you, that's going to evolve you. And that's like the gem, really, because you're in this, we are all in this to experience the fullness of ourself, right? The wholeness of ourself in all kinds of situations, and just our engagement with life, right? It's like this journey of self is really where it's at. And these goals are almost, perfectly designed to help us experience more of ourself and our evolution. So that's I think it's very powerful when you remember that in your process, because it takes some of the focus, I'm not putting all the focus on my goal. I'm paying attention to who I am in this process and how I'm moving through it. And that gives you more self-awareness. It also gives you more agency. You're more of a conscious creator. I mean, there's so many benefits to realizing and remembering that. So that was a fun piece to put in here. And wrapping this out, one day you'll revere every inch of your unfolding because all of it curated the absolute love that you hold for yourself. Don't wait for the day, wait for nothing, live for it, live everything. One day can be your today if you decide to live it that way. It always comes back to self-love, everything. I really believe, this journey that we're on and what you experience throughout your life, in some way, it will always come back to, what is the love that you hold for yourself? What does that look like? What does it feel like? Is it conditional? Is it unconditional? I'm an advocate for absolute self-love, and it's a journey to get there. It's not an overnight process, and it's a life game. Like there's no period at the end of the sentence. It's a comma or a ... Because as we continue to experience life, things are going to come at us that are going to test us, that are going to show us different parts of ourselves that maybe we haven't experienced before, that are going to invite us into new territories that we have yet, moved through. And all of that is going to bring us into a more heightened and deeper relationship with ourselves, hopefully, right? Because that's the goal. You want to get closer to yourself. You don't want to disconnect from yourself. Sometimes you may have to go through a disconnection period to get into the connection part of your journey. And that's just how it can work for you, but ultimately it always comes back to self-love. And when you really start to love yourself, the whole of your being, from an absolute place, then you really start to revere, respect, and appreciate every inch of your journey, because all of it has contributed to the relationship that you have with yourself. And in this piece here, and ultimately in all of my work, that place is hopefully where you are experiencing absolute self-love. It's not conditional. It's not conditional. The whole of your being is loved unconditionally. The parts that don't feel good, the parts that feel good. And don't get it twisted. You can hold love for yourself in areas that are maybe messy, that don't feel great, and make the work to shift those. Ultimately, it's saying in those circumstances, I see you, I accept you. Accepting is not settling. It's just kind of like, here we fucking are, right? So it's kind of just, okay, having a sit down kind of energetically with yourself. So what you're not doing is you're not creating a level of disrespect in yourself just because something doesn't sit right with you, something doesn't feel good about you to you. You're always holding respect for yourself, which allows you to be a continuous work in progress with love, because that love is going to get you into the work that you want and need to do to make whatever shifts you need to make. Again, it always comes back to self-love, right? So it's so beautiful, it's so deep, and it's so powerful when you really can get to this place where that is, the frequency that that you're moving through your life with. And the end piece of this piece of prose is, just you don't have to wait for this day to come, this day in any regard to what I just shared. I mean, you can literally decide that today is the day. It's now. Because all of what I shared comes down to your perspective. Ultimately, if you want to rewind and watch it, listen to it again to really capture that, it's all about perspective. And your perspective can shift at any moment that you decide it to be. Doesn't mean it's going to stay there if it's something that you have to do some work to really shift, but your decision to make the shift can happen right now. And then you got to put in the work to consistently uphold that perspective. And when you need help with that, you can just come back to my podcast and listen to all the episodes, because that's what my work is. That's what this show's about. It's helping you with the relationship you hold with yourself, your decisions that shape your life in a way that is fulfilling to you, that's giving you the experiences that you truly want to experience, where you're not settling. It's bringing you closer to yourself, creating this self bond where you love yourself, you trust yourself, you respect yourself, your authentic self, right? All of that. It's ultimately bringing you home to self with absolute self-love. So I hope that this did feel like a hug to all of your hearts, no matter where you are in your journey, no matter what you're experiencing, and, keeps you just rooted in a perspective where you are, if you're not already in this state, but you're working to really move into the absolute self-love that I talked about. And remember that at every single moment in your life, you have the agency, you have the power to decide what your perspective is. Like it's not what you're looking at, it's how you're looking at it. It's that quote. I love that quote. So I'd love to know, did this episode hug your heart? Let me know. DM me, Roxy Look, Instagram, Spotify. You can leave comments now. One thing that's so important to mention, this is so exciting, so exciting, so important. My first book is coming out, you guys. Holy shit. As a lifelong writer, my first authored book is finally coming out into the world. And that's happening in the fall, but there is going to be a book launch party. It's going to be virtual, and I'm going to create it's like a workshop basically, but it's with me, it's always a party. So, I'm going to tease out the principles of this book. I'm going to have a Q&A segment where we get to connect. If you would like to join and get into this exclusive event with me, please go put your name in to the very special link that is in the show notes. This is in the description box and YouTube. It's also homepage on the website, roxannesaffaie.com. I'd love to spend that time with you and to dive into this very, very special creation of mine that I really believe you all will love. So check it out. Again, roxannesaffaie.com has everything you need to get into that, and other resources there as well. So if you haven't already given this podcast a 5-star rating review, it would mean so much, truly, and I mean so much to me and to my team if you just took a moment. There's also a link for that. Links everywhere. But yeah, there is a link to that in the show notes. And you guys, thank you so much for sharing your time here, your energy, your attention with me. It is so deeply respected and valued, and I will see you on the next one.
To all my tender savages, to all you self-lovers, to all you magnetic badasses who are showing up every day authentically, courageously, who refuse to play small, I'm so excited to introduce our new lifestyle brand, La Roe & Pa, because we designed it just for you. Who's we? We is my work wife / wing woman / badass graphic artist, Paulina Stewart. Every design is a culmination of deep intention, love, fire, magic, heart, and soul brought to life through my writing and Paulina's graphic work. Because we are so intentional about every single statement, every design, we only drop one design a month. We want you to live it. We want you to feel the essence and the frequency of every design because they are so powerful, like you. So check it out, laroeandpa.com. It's in the show notes. The new drop is so sick, and I cannot wait to see all of you wearing it. You get a variety of products to choose from in each drop. So wear it on your head, hat. You can get socks. You can wear a hoodie. You can hang it on your wall. Whatever you end up doing, please do let us know by sharing it on your socials and your stories. Tag at Roxy Look, tag La Roe & Pa, and we will reshare the powerful, magnetic, badass beauty that you are. laroeandpa.com.